Everybody, welcome to Hard Folk with Matt Gower. Except Matt is not the one doing the interview today. It's going to be me, James Leclaire. So I'm going to be interviewing Matt Gower and getting all the information we can pulled out of him that he tries to pull out of everybody else.
Hi.
Matt Gower, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm impressed that you nailed that in one take. Normally, when I do my intros, I have to edit out all of my stuttering and record it numerous times. I turn into Winnebago man whenever I'm
Oh,
recording things.
well, it's funny because I was watching your face as I was doing it. And I'm like, am I saying stuff wrong? He's looking like maybe I'm, but cool. You're impressed.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, it's nice to have you on the other side of the camera slash microphone.
Yeah.
This time for me to interview you. You interviewed me a while back. It was I don't know if it was one of your first hard folks, but
One of the early ones. Yeah.
yeah, one of the early ones. Yeah, where you were just settling in, creating this thing, and you've done a ton. I've like you do them every week, right?
I do them basically like it averages out to maybe one or two a month, I guess. It just
Okay.
kind of depends on who's available when and
Yeah.
and if I feel like doing it.
So there's no strict well, there's a strict deadline today because I got a Zoom invite that says 11:30, get it done.
That's
So
right. That's right.
we're gonna get it done. I want to jump right into it because I've known you for many years. I'll get into that
Yeah.
later. But first, I'm gonna go kind of chronologically here because
Mhm.
you played music a while back, and then you left music for a while. At
Yeah.
the time, you were in a band, and I just so happened to have it here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Capital
Uh,
Grass and the No Man.
Capital Grass and the No Man. I also have a CD of the album prior, but it's in the garage, so it's not conveniently behind me. But at that time, you were in a band. So how do you feel approaching it this time as a solo artist?
It's different for sure. I find that when you're in a band, your mistakes and things like that are covered up a lot easier for one. But that wasn't the big thing for me. The big thing for me was that like when I was up there on stage with the band, I felt like I was like surrounded. I was like I had all this like I was barricaded by my bandmates on either side and behind me, by amplifiers, by my pedal board in front of me. So like I felt very reinforced and very safe. Whereas playing solo is a bit more of a tight rope act for me, I guess you could say. Like it's just me on stage. I'm just with my acoustic guitar. People are focused just on me, so mistakes are definitely going to be that much more magnified and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's more vulnerable that way. It's more direct. It's taken me some getting used to because like I'm alone for most of my shows, so like I have nobody just to like banter off of.
I know that I know how that feels, especially if you play out of town. You're just kind of sitting alone, like
I
do do
know.
do for hours and sound check and everything, and everyone
Exactly.
else. You're opening for people with bands. They're all hanging out. People are
hmm
generally friendly and stuff, but it is a different feel for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's definitely been like a learning curve this past year because I never really did much solo stuff at all. I did the odd solo gig when I was with Capital Grass, but yeah, I've kind of learned to fend for myself out in the wilds of the music scene in Ottawa here.
Cool, cool. So when you decided to jump back into releasing music specifically,
Uh-huh.
uh, did you have a I don't mean this your current album, which we'll talk about in a bit, because you put an album out before that as well. Did you have a concept in mind when you were like, I'm going to do a solo thing, or did you just start writing songs and they eventually evolved on their own?
Yeah, they evolved on their own. I didn't really have a concept in mind. I guess I didn't kind of realize it before, but it was Lefty McReady was saying one time at an open stage, like, your stuff is kind of dark. It's like, oh yeah, I guess it is kind of more on the dark, edgy kind of side. So I guess if anything, maybe I kind of honed in on that voice a little bit more. So, but other than that, no, I just wrote songs, and the songs accumulated and accumulated and accumulated and ended up on the album.
Okay, so with your new album, Vacated Shapes, how does that title actually represent that batch of songs specifically? Like, or did you just have like a bunch of songs to choose from? You pulled them together and you're like, this kind of feels like this.
Well, as far as choosing the songs, they they all are basically from a specific time frame, an era. I don't want to go Taylor Swift on you and say it's an era, but like yeah, so that's as far as that goes. The title Vacated Shapes is a line from one of the songs on the album, By and
Mhm.
Binary. The song itself is just about not being sure of all the answers and almost being jealous about people who kind of feel like they know it all, but all at the same time, I I'm happy not to know it all too. It's those things at the same time. Vacated Shapes, the image in my mind when I was writing that song is actually like the crime scene tracings of the bodies and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's the image that I had originally in my mind, but then I just kind of expanded that a little bit to just like, we all kind of feel a little kind of emptiness inside or a darkness inside. So that kind of applies to that. And so you see all these like, abandoned buildings and stuff like that. So those are the vacated shapes that I was kind of thinking of as far as the imagery for the album.
Uh, the cover art is gorgeous. That old barn,
Yeah, yeah.
that's gorgeous. Did you take that yourself?
I found it Creative Commons. I was looking for just like an eerie looking kind of barn,
Mhm.
and so I found that picture, and I spookied it up.
Okay. We all do. We all do.
Yes, yes.
Now, you've recorded Vacated Shapes at home, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so your band stuff, was it recorded prior in studio, or did you record that at home as well?
Both
And
actually, both. Like for the
okay.
band stuff, we recorded the first album, I think it's called Don't Wait for the Mountain. First album we recorded that with Dave Draves' little bullhorn.
Yeah.
And then the second album we recorded at the guitarist Wayne's he had a home studio, so we recorded it there. This Vacated Shapes is quite pared down from both of those, especially the studio, but um it's very simple, just guitar, voice. Like I used one microphone the whole time, and I just kept it really simple because I wanted the songwriting to shine through and the songs to shine through.
That's awesome, man. It's your Nebraska,
It's
right?
my yeah. Well, that was a big influence on that
Yeah.
album, as well.
That it
Jason
was.
Isbell's "Foxes in the Snow."
I have that
Um,
record, both
yeah,
of those. Yeah. It.
Yeah. Now, like Nebraska is very atmospheric. Like,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
he creates almost like a soundscape through the slap echo on that album alone. Like it's
Mhm.
it's it's very dark and depressing. So there's no way that I could ever, at first I sort of tried to emulate that, but I was realizing no, I can't make that magic happen.
I don't know
Uh,
if he knew how he made that either, to be honest.
exactly, exactly.
Springsteen.
If you've
Yeah.
if you've seen the movie or read the book and
Yeah.
listened to the album, there's a lot of factors that went into that. But what really stood out to me was just the simplicity of it, the do it yourself kind of ethos of that. I don't know that Jason Isbell was very do it yourself, but just the simple and direct songs right into the ear is kind of what I was
Yeah.
going for.
That's what I'm going to do too next, actually. So this time, we're talking now, you coming back into music. There is a big difference, I would say, in social media and how it plays a part, especially as an indie artist.
Yeah.
Uh, because if you got a band, there's people who are all contributing, just like in a band. But when it's you alone and you're trying to create content,
Hmm.
how do you feel about that part of it now that being a solo artist?
It's sometimes it feels, I guess it depends on how many likes each post gets really like it's hard. It's hard to get people's attention, and that's really what social media is designed to do, is get people's attention.
I know.
And it feels good when people do notice. But it's just hard to come up with new ideas. Like what I was trying to do with this album, and I said it in a newsletter post, which I posted on social media, was, I don't want to do singles, and I don't want to like just be very much the same, rollout as other artists do. Like I see these posts come up all the time on like threads and stuff where like they're like, do this and that and this and that if you're an artist, and here's some ideas. Oh, or you could like, like there's all these like kind of templates of content, and I'm just trying to avoid those as much as I can. Like if it boils down to just basically your face, or some interesting video talking on social media, that's basically what it is. And in the end, it's all going to be the same. But I've just tried to do something just a little bit different. Like last week, I did a post about how I recorded the album. So I'm just trying to do little things like that, and also explain the songs as well. But the hard part is finding the time to do it, because I call myself primarily like a songwriter, and doing all this promo stuff, doing all this administrative stuff, but especially the promo stuff because it takes so long to like edit everything together.
It does.
It just takes so much time, and like I want to be writing stuff down, writing music and stuff, but it's a necessary part of the beast.
You know what it is? It's you are a one person business, right? And so
Yes, yes.
it's like any business starting, the one person's got the concept. If you get people who invest in you and then they start picking up these jobs, but until that time comes, record deal or promoters or something, you have to do it. And so it's really tough to go, I want to be making the music, but I also have to like make these videos, create this artwork. Do you know what I mean? Even home
Yeah.
recording, like you have to learn how to record. It's not someone
Hmm.
recording you if you so when you're talking about those templates and how to do things, like I do see it as in like a general, like, here's all the things you should do. And just like how to learn how to play guitar. Here's how you play guitar. Then eventually you just go whatever and you play guitar how you play guitar. Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
So same with the social media, but yeah, it takes a toll for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it is a business. And the good thing about when you are an independent artist, you've sold out already. We've pre-sold out.
Yeah, exactly. But it is a business and you are wearing many hats, right? Like
I
when
know.
you're doing plus
Like,
beyond the hours of, you doing your art, you're also other things too, right? So
yeah. And
one thing about like I've known you now, I did the math and I look back
oh
to
boy.
approximately when I thought we met. And this was about 16 years ago when you were working at the Folklore Center.
Okay.
And it was really cool because I didn't know you, but somehow you reached out to me and you were doing some YouTube, social media then, somewhat, some YouTube
At
content.
near the beginning of YouTube, but not quite.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't actual, social media then, but you were putting
No.
out like some YouTube stuff for folklore,
Yeah.
and you had me perform twice on there.
Hmm.
Um, but what I mean about that is that you've always been so good to help the local artist community. One, you were working at Folklore Center, but then also how you interview people like this on Hard Folk, how you have people at the Art House, right, with CKCU that you
Yeah, the
host
Friday
every
night folk shows, yeah.
Friday Night Folk, which is once a month, right?
Once every other month.
Once every other month. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
but you even have a gossip group that we all talk in, songwriters from Ottawa, and you're just someone that's really trying to lift everybody else. And I think that's awesome. This isn't always the case with other local artists and acts. Like there's times, you try and people don't give back or people are negative. But what drives you to want to help other people so much?
Well, like it in the end, everything that we do is kind of selfish, I guess. Because like I'm getting connections, like I'm meeting people from all this. Like it all comes down to I'm creating connections with people, and those connections, when you zoom out to the big picture, create the community, right? So it's kind of a yeah, just it's just keeping the community strong, and giving artists who I respect a spotlight where they normally wouldn't. And for me personally, it's hard. It's hard to find like uh you know get interviews and press and things like that. So, like I'm 90% of the time with the podcast, I'm approaching potential guests saying, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" And that's a big ego boost for anybody when you're getting approached to do something as opposed
Mhm.
to asking to do something, which is when you're at you got to ask most of the time when you're an artist. But yeah, like I said, it's just like making those individual connections between me and the person, and then those things grow, and that creates a community. Yeah, and
the reason I brought that up is because I don't see any selfishness in you, right? Because artists can people can sometimes think, that they're uh, narcissistic, you know what I mean? That they
Yeah,
want
yeah,
all the
yeah, yeah.
attention and hey, look at me do this. And it's so nice finding someone else that is like so. Because I find we really connect well, like how we
Oh yeah,
hung
yeah.
out at Folk Canada and like how we communicate back and forth. And it's nice to be able to lean on people with a question, like, if you're reaching out to radio and I'm like, well, how did you do that? And that you're not, well, that's my secret and I'm not going to share it. I've
Yeah.
got lists of venues that I'm like for BC, East Coast, Southern Ontario. I'm like, I just hand them out. You know what I mean? Because it
Yeah,
took me
yeah.
forever to make them up.
Hmm.
But you always look at hopefully that what you give out will come back, right? To you.
Exactly, exactly. Whether someone is listening to the podcast or just seeing a clip that I've posted on Instagram or whatever
Mhm.
of the podcast, it like in the immediate picture, it focuses on the artist, which is I guess the goal for that. And yeah, it just kind of it forces me to get out of my shell as well a little bit. Like I'm a like believe it or not, I'm a pretty reserved kind of insular kind of person. And I worked sales at the Folklore Center. I'm a musician, so it involves getting out there and meeting people. I do it because that's what you got to do. But it's not an easy thing for me to do that. And it's just part of the job, you know?
Yeah. Well, you're doing a
Yeah.
good job, buddy. Um, so I'm going to talk about you're a big fan of Woody Guthrie, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you have a tattoo, Woody,
Yeah,
on
I
your
don't know
arm.
if I can show the angle
Yeah.
properly.
No, we can't.
No,
We just
no,
get an arm,
no.
just an armpit.
Yeah, there, whatever. It's he's there. He's there.
Yeah. I can hear his influence in your songs, right? I mean, now
Hmm.
his songs are, 40s, 50s, and like not the recording quality, obviously, but the storytelling
Hmm.
and the call to arms, let's say.
Yeah, yeah.
What drew you to him so long ago? Because you've been a fan for a long time.
Just his representation of folk music in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, when you think when you think folk music, it's Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, and then out from there, Bob Dylan, and he's like the avatar for folk music. So that's just he just represents all like he he was the originator of protest song. He was the original punk rock musician, you could even
Yeah.
say. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like he got out there and was like, he was the original Trump protester when he was protesting Trump's father and the racist slumlord that he was. And this land is your land. I think that one was. I think that song was originally like a tongue-in-cheek kind of song.
It
Like,
was the government paid him to write that as a for the war effort, right?
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. And then he kind of turned it around. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then like like all you fascists born to lose, like that's the ultimate protest song right there,
I know. I
bound to
know.
lose. So like he is folk music, and I actually had the chance to meet and help organize. I guess I worked for the folk festival in 2009 for a little stint there, and on one of the off festival gigs or shows that they do to kind of like just raise funds and help promote the festival. They did a Guthrie family concert, so I got to
Hmm.
to help organize that and meet like Arlo Guthrie and all of his family, like Johnny I don't even know how to say it. Irian, his son-in-law as well.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, like I said, he is folk music. Him and Pete Seeger too.
Yeah. So you mentioned Pete now. Who else inspires you either from the past
Mm.
or more recently or even currently?
Well, like I was on another podcast the other day, and I was saying how like my listening habits are a little different now as opposed to what they used to be. Like
Mhm.
I try to listen to a lot of new music actually, and so I don't go back to a lot of old stuff unless I've never really heard it before.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as like my major influence though, I would say, and I said this on the other podcast, it's Grateful Dead Reckoning. Um, that was an acoustic album that they recorded in Radio City Music Hall and as well as Fillmore West in San Francisco. But I think it was mostly Radio City. And it was recorded in 1980, maybe a little after I was born. And they sat down and they all had acoustic instruments, which you don't see all the time with the Grateful Dead. When I originally bought the album, I just bought it based on the cover, thinking, "Oh, this is going to be like a really hard rocking band." And
Yeah.
I was like 18 or 19 at the time, and so when I bought that, I was pleasantly surprised, because like there's a lot like it's a very folk heavy. You can really hear Jerry Garcia's bluegrass roots in the playing as well. And the songs are all great. There's lots of jamming. You can hear the live audience like getting in on it and everything. So that would be a major influence in my folk career. Another big thing that I listened to in high school was Radiohead, OK Computer.
Yeah.
And so like I tried to sing like Tom York for a while, and that doesn't work out for many people.
No.
But like I learned a lot of things. Like you can't write lyrics like Tom York, but like I learned a lot of like tricks with with like different like chords and things that they use. Like I at one point I even learned how to play all of Paranoid Android, and you kind of that song breaks down into three different movements and everything, and it just kind of helped me as a songwriter, and that but I didn't know it at the time. I'm trying to think of other people who are big influences on me, like yeah, like I said, the Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska, but like I listen to a lot of new stuff, like um like I love listening to just bluegrass, like progressive bluegrass music in general. But yeah, I don't know, like there's just like a lot of new stuff that I listen to. Like if I open up my phone right now, there's just tons of artists that I'm just like going off a list. Like we were talking about NPR before, like they're a great resource for finding new
Yeah.
artists. Like, and this morning, even though I was listening to whale music by the Rio Statics. There's a blast from the past while I was sending out emails and everything. Yeah,
It's
Scud.
so crazy now because we're older gentlemen and
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
like we
Vintage,
collected
vintage.
music. Yeah, just when you said about getting, the Grateful Dead, you bought it on the look of the cover. You didn't stream it first, you
No,
know
I
what I
did
mean? Like,
not. Yeah.
no, you just bought it and then, listened to it. And then you were like, well, I spent $20 on this. I guess I better make sure I get my money's worth. Right.
Yep.
And so we were kind of limited to our collection or
hmm
our
hmm
friends' collection that we could trade back and forth. Right.
And the
And
mixtape.
so
We're
our
we're 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 vintage
mixtape.
mixtape dudes, right?
Exactly. But then what you did was though you really dug into something for a long period of time, like you almost wore it out, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
now there's so much new music, and I mean we're part of it. We're putting out new music all the time too.
Mhm.
That first to try and this comes back down to social media and just grabbing attention from people. It's hard to get people to sit and like unless your song really resonates with them, like that they'll actually go, "Oh, I want to listen to that more than 30 seconds or
hmm
more than once," right? So I'm stuck. I'm the opposite of you. I'm stuck on the old stuff that I can really like that I just grind through constantly. I do get introduced to new stuff, but yeah, see, the reason you can go through so much stuff now though is because of where we are in this musical world, right? With so much
Exactly,
streaming
exactly.
platforms.
And I
Mhm.
was talking actually on my latest podcast. I had Cadence Weapon on, and he was saying how like the algorithms and things are influence how we even present songs. Like a lot of the times when I post a song online, I'll get rid of as much intro music as possible because we got to catch the attention of the listeners, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Well, I've even heard like when you're recording music, they're like, stop doing long intros, just start with your lyrics. And you're like, man, like imagine telling Pink Floyd, like, okay, cut out all the junk. And but it's sad because that's what the general public is consuming, right? That's what they're asking for. But that's going to take a movement where people are just going to not do it. And so
well,
like
we're
posting
we're
online,
doing
like
that.
you say, for sure.
We're
Yeah.
doing that too, though. But like when I put my album, I'm not releasing it to be an album of singles. I'm releasing it to be an album that you sit and listen to, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how I guess I want people to listen to music how I listen to it, because when I listen to music, I will listen to an entire album. I'm usually not one for playlists. I listen to the album first.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Um, so you're talking about the influences you had, right, but with Radiohead and with Grateful Dead. So you pull stuff from what you learn. Like you
Mhm.
listen, sometimes you try to learn it, sometimes it just happens naturally. Like, oh, I kind of played something that sounded like something I like, right?
Yeah.
As a songwriter, what do you think you're strongest and weakest at?
Whew. Well, first of all,
You
I
got to
thought of
brag a little bit, and then you
no,
got
no.
to be vulnerable
Yeah,
a
I know,
little
I
bit.
know. I'm gonna walk back my influences a little bit. I thought of one of the major ones that I completely left off my list is oh, I'm Wilco dude,
Jeff Tweedy.
Jeff Tweedy. I don't know why he was
Yeah.
blanking, because he's a major influence. Like his book kind of got me back
Okay.
into songwritings, and his work is prolific. He writes a ton of songs. Anyways, sorry, repeat the question again for me. What
So
I'm
just what are
weak
you
and
strong as a songwriter? What are you strongest at and weakest at?
strongest? Coming up with uh chords and stuff. Just coming up with
Progressions. Yeah.
chord progressions and melodies. Weakest is storytelling. And I've been working on that a lot actually. La Pistolera is, I think, my first successful storytelling song, and
Okay.
and so I've discovered that I've got to kind of work around my weakness, because I've discovered that like I can't really tell a story when it's either a fictional narrative or my own narrative necessarily, but if it's based on something like La Pistolera, it's a lot easier to write about.
Right. Because there's a topic already there and a storyline. You're editing it down and massaging it, molding it into something that's 2.5, 3 minutes or something, right?
Exactly, and like pulling what's poetic for me and things like that. Because on our little gossip group, I was saying how like La Pistolera was. I read an article. I think it was a CBC article, and the headline had her nickname in it, which was Pistol Packin' Mama, and so that caught my eye at first, and then eventually, like I read down and found out more, and that in Mexico she was called La Pistolera. So it kind of evolved from there,
Well,
and the story was just an interesting one. The fact that she, like evaded police twice, and then like in in um in the chorus, like it's just a fun thing to say. She fled from Independence, and Independence is actually Independence, Missouri, the city where she uh, committed her first murder. So, anyways,
oh, very cool double meaning then.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So when you say you're strongest at chord progression, when you write, is that what always comes first then? Is that you come
No.
up with this rhythm and a chord, and then you're like, oh, what words do I put? No, eh?
I don't worry about it. That, I guess so. I guess one of my I don't think it's a weaker point, but one thing that I really try to emphasize now, especially now that I'm in a solo setting and that it's eyes are all on me. I want to have I want to have better songs. I felt like, if I were to go up and sing all my Capital Grass stuff, that wouldn't be good enough for singing solo. So I want to make sure that I'm writing a solid song. And what I've done is I've done a lot more rewrites, and I've kind of just worked a lot harder on the actual lyrics and making sure they make sense, and not just being lazy and saying, oh, that song, that line rhymes and it makes no sense. I want everything to be as meaningful as possible. And yeah, and it takes a little bit of time. Like sometimes, some days I'll only have time to write 2 lines, like and but that can be enough sometimes, like one songwriting hack that I've learned. I think it comes originally from Ernest Hemingway, actually. Is to not, to end on an incomplete line, so you have something to jump off from the next time you go in to write. And so that's a little trick that I've used as well, knowing that I'm not going to be able to like sit down and finish a song all in one sitting.
Right. Well, that was leading into my next question was about some artists write every day, right?
Yeah.
Some only when they're inspired. And then, so I was going to ask you what your writing process is, but kind of explained it there. But do you tend to write when you feel like it, or do you make an actual, like, I got to write today at least 2 hours or 30 minutes or
I try to get in a regular writing thing, because I find like if I write when I feel like it, especially having like 6 and 8 year old kids, I have a lot less motivation to do stuff later in the day.
Right.
It's harder to get stuff done. So forcing myself to do it, and forcing isn't the right word. Like I enjoy writing, but I have to have a regular routine. Like I'm a very routine kind of person. So having like if an ideal day, which even today veered from that. I'll try to do 10 minutes of free writing first. So like there's a really good website that just gives you a word. And so I'll go into my songwriting book here and then I'll say, okay, so today's word was hospital. So I'll just do off the top of my head 10 minutes of free writing about the hospital and so that's kind of like my warm up to get like kind of the juices flowing. And
It's
then
interesting.
I'll write. I'll continue what I'm writing, or I'll start something new. I definitely like as inspiration comes, like if oh that's a cool idea, that's a cool idea. I'll write it into my notes app in my phone, but expanding it into my book, like my if you were to look at this is my other book, this is my songwriting book. Like there's it's just a mess of scribbles. Like I'll kind of like sketch the song out in my book first
Yeah.
and then if I like something, set it in stone in my notes app, and that stays there. And then, so that's really like I can't read my own handwriting anyways, so so that's kind of the process there. So like yeah,
Do,
it's building off of stuff, but like like just like using technique to kind of work songs out.
do you ever not complete a song? Like, do you ever just like get so far into a song and then go, I'm never going to finish this. It's garbage or I don't like it or whatever.
Less than I used to. I
Yeah.
feel like that's one thing where maybe I'm doing something not quite right because like I find like I know what I want to write about and like if I'm like 3/4 of the way done a song, I can see the finish line, I guess.
Yeah.
And if it's not kind of what I am envisioning in that song or I'm not happy with it, I'll go back to the drawing board with it. Like I might have to like rewrite the whole thing, or I
You
might have
know,
to do a new chord sequence or whatever.
I remember reading, I think it was Waging Heavy Peace by Neil Young, and
Okay.
he was saying that like he if a song is hard, it's a bad song. Like he goes, a good song comes quick. That's what he. Now,
I
I
disagree.
know, I know you can't disagree. I mean, sorry, you can disagree with that because let's say Leonard Cohen's like Hallelujah took him 7 years.
There's an entire book on that, and he's written that one is a study in rewrites for sure.
Yeah, but what's interesting, and I love hearing, little tidbits here of how you write, and as you tell me, I'm comparing it to how I write, right? And just how everyone is so different, right?
Hmm.
And so Neil Young, I mean, the guy's had success with how he does it. Can't argue with him. Like if if the song is getting hard and he's maybe struggled through the hard ones, and they always turn out junk, he doesn't even try, right? Like
Right, right,
so,
right.
it's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes the hard ones, like if you're wrestling with a song, that's a recipe for a potentially great song if you can win that battle.
Yeah, I, I guess I haven't. I don't throw away any songs. It seems like everything I start, I finish,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's usually pretty quick. But you know what it comes down to for me is, do I like the song? And that's
Yeah,
all it is. It's like,
yeah.
who cares if anyone else likes it? I play it. I like it. You know what I mean? So,
Like, I feel like every song that you write is like you're like you feel like once you're done the song like this is the greatest song ever, you know?
well, I don't know if I think that every time, but no, I am
No, no.
stoked. I'm usually stoked, and you can't wait to show people, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is one thing. We're talking about social media a little earlier, but the, as much as an artist is like, oh my God, social media drives me crazy. I have to come up with all this stuff and this content. At the same time, you're able to, and people like who are younger than us who go like we couldn't get our music out to anybody. Like I remember going
Mm,
to like a club with a cassette tape, a copied version, and being like, can I play a gig here? And I didn't email, I had to write letters and put a tape in the mail. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah.
so right now, we with links and being able to post stuff, live footage, like you can get approvals by other people so quick or disapprovals.
Hmm.
But there is something fantastic about getting your music. Like you write a song tonight, you could record it at home and put it on the internet for everybody to hear tomorrow.
Yeah,
You know?
it's immediate. It's definitely immediate.
Yeah.
I forgot. I was trying to remember this part. Again, talking to Cadence Weapon last week, he was in his book. He was saying that in one day, there was more music released than the entire like year of
80.
1989 or something combined. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. It's because like it is really easy to get your music up there onto the but that's like that's the very beginning, getting your music out there. The
Yeah.
goal for getting your music out there is for people to listen to it, and that's a different story completely.
100%. Um, so we're talking a lot about you as a songwriter. You mentioned that you have two young children.
Mhm.
So who is Matt Gower, the person, right? Like beyond describing yourself, because you as a songwriter is a big title of who you are.
Yeah.
Remove that. Who is Matt Gower?
Uh, well, like I'm that's a good question. I feel like if you remove my songwriting, that takes away a big part of my being. Like I find that whenever I've gone through periods without songwriting, I feel a little bit more lost, a little bit more. Well, like I don't know it until I start writing songs again. Like I feel like I'm more in my place. But other than songwriting, I'm a big comedy nerd. I'm silly. I'm like people. If you listen to my songs, you'd be surprised how unserious I am in person, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm always just looking to have a good time and to just be a good person, be a good dad. Yeah, like I probably annoy my kids way too much with all my stupid jokes and stuff like that, but
That's what dads are for.
that's what dads are for. That's why they made dad jokes, right?
That's why there's
um
books on it. Yeah.
yeah, no, and like speaking of kids, we can't have kids without my wife and my wife Krista. We've been married since 2002. We've been together since 99, so it's been a while. We've grown up together. We've been through a lot together. And so like it's just nice just to on a weeknight, on a weekend, just to sit on the couch and hang out and just make fun of Beverly Hills 90210 or something together like that. Like
So that means you're going to be celebrating your silver anniversary
what
next
what
year,
what's silver? What
'25.
is it really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the
Okay.
silver anniversary.
Oh wow. Okay,
That's
so
huge.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
Um, yeah, I don't know.
so
I don't know.
with
It's hard to describe myself. I don't really like. Yeah, I don't really. Yeah. Anyways.
so music is your main thing, not you don't play hockey or baseball or
Well,
like
baseball is. I love baseball. I
I knew you did, and I was trying to
Yes,
pull that out
yes,
of you
yes,
here.
yes. Sorry, I forgot. No, I can be very focused sometimes, and information can kind of go out the wayside. But yeah, baseball for sure. It was my birthday on Friday, so my wife took me to a baseball game here in town. I used to have a baseball podcast. I used to talk with like I had an interview with John Gibbons, the former manager of the Blue Jays at one point. Got to talk to a
Okay,
lot of people. Got to read a lot of cool baseball books. And yeah, I just baseball is something along with music that has kind of been with me throughout my life.
that's cool.
I played it as up until about maybe 13, 14 years old, but I've been watching it all my life.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So talking about you as a person and how busy it can be being a dad of two kids, married, how do you find the time to uh, write, practice, play gigs, record, put out music? Like, where does that, are you just kind of grabbing it wherever you can, or do you set aside, like, I'm going to, like, this is dad needs this time tonight, like,
Luckily they're both in school, 6 and 8 years old. So, when I'm done all my household, stay-at-home dad duties, I sit down and I start writing.
okay, that's
I
cool.
have like until about 2:30 or so when I have to go pick them up to just sit and do music stuff. So that's been a change before kids because there's no reason for me to stay at home. But
Well, that's great then. If you have
mhm.
that designated like 4 or 5 hours a day that you
Yeah.
can use,
And that's when I
whatever
do all
you
my
want.
recording. Like on the weekends, I don't get a lot of writing done. This summer, I don't anticipate getting a lot of writing done because they're going to be home with me all summer.
Yeah.
But you know, like I do try to like just have my like if I have an idea, I'll put it into my notes or whatever. I
And
might
that
have
can
to.
happen anywhere. Yeah.
That can happen anywhere, and yeah. So I don't necessarily need to find the time. As far as like playing gigs and stuff, that a lot of like all the credit goes to my wife for that because she's got to be at home with two kids, and you know my we're a neurodiverse family. Bedtime is not a smooth sail, and it has not been for our entire lives. So it is not an easy thing to put two kids to bed as well as having like a barking dog uh, who needs attention at the same time. So she does a lot when I'm doing the gigs. Um, no, seriously, like some nights we even just give the dog a sedative just to like make sure that we do have a quiet. She does have a quiet night when if I'm out doing gig stuff. So
Oh, it barks a lot, eh?
well she can she's a puppy, so we're trying to like the demand barking is a constant battle.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My dog's a mute, I think. It
Oh
hardly
wow.
ever barks. It's a golden retriever, but like yours, but it's a red retriever, but never barks. It's just
You've got
always
a
silent.
recording studio dog right there.
Yeah, there you go. Can play right in there. Um, so music, I mean, you're going to agree, music is a very special thing, right? And like, so many people don't play music; they listen to music,
Mhm.
and they get they get a lot out of listening to music. But it's different for people like you and I that create the music. We listen to music as well, but we create it, and then we get experiences from the creations and see other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
So I've got my own personal, magical moments from it. But what is your most memorable moment from your music? And it can be like a live performance or something
Mm.
more personal, but what moment stands out the most when you're like, oh my God, this happened with my music?
Well, I
Is there?
remember my first ever paying gig was at the Ottawa Folk Festival back in like I forget what it was 98 or 99, but I was in a folk duo at the time, and Rasputin's, which was still up and running and
Yeah.
active, they had this like last chance folk saloon tryouts at Rasputin's. So we tried out and we won the youth category. And we got to play a workshop stage at the folk festival alongside Canadian legend minus the other guy, Moxie Fruvis.
No way. Yeah.
So that was a pretty memorable moment. Um, yeah, like playing the festivals, like uh, Capital Grass played Blues Fest a couple times. The first time was a really big surprise because um, we had just Capital Grass was formed in Guelph, Ontario. Um, and we ended up moving the band. There were many iterations of the band. It started as a duo, became a trio with a drummer, then we added a bass, then we got a new drummer, then we got a new bass player, and then eventually, by the time our me and Wayne started the band, our wives were both in vet school together. By the time my wife graduated and she got a job back here in Ottawa, I moved here 6 months later. Wayne moved here. We started everything all over again, and pretty much once we were established and like it took less than a year, maybe about a year, we recorded our first album, Don't Wait for the Mountain, and like we applied for Blues Fest and they let us in. That was just like that. I remember that moment. I was like, holy cow, we got in. That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's tough to get in.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh. And then yeah, then a few years later we did Blues Fest again, off the heels of our second album, Hunker Down Low, which you've beautifully showed everybody. And
yes.
and then Jazz Fest, surprise, another surprise, I guess, because you know we were at best a folk band. We called it garage folk, but it was kind of surprising to get in there. And I don't know, this past year in general has been a pretty magical year in general. Like I feel like my growth as not like a songwriter, but just as a musician, as a person, has grown pretty exponentially in all the connections that I've made this past year. Like I've been telling my wife, like I should have been doing all these things back with Capital Grass. Like I was a lot more introverted back then, a lot more like protected by the band. Like it's definitely been like a solo project, like for me, and but at the same time bringing all these people into the mix and working with everybody and connecting with everybody, and it's just been
Yeah.
a whirlwind year for me. I find.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So you're talking about this year. Now, what are your goals like as a songwriter?
Mhm.
Where do you want to see the future Matt Gower? Where do you want him to be, 5 years from now with your music? Like what are you hoping for?
I'm hoping that I'm just hoping to build a fan base.
Yeah.
I'm always going to be writing. Like once the school year starts again in the fall, I'm going to be probably starting work on a new album. Um, but yeah, I'm always going to be writing. I just kind of. I want it to be easier to have people come out to shows. So I guess just and to do that, you got to keep building the community. You got to keep interacting with other artists, with fans, with venues and everything. So and with community supporters like CKCU. So I just I want to just kind of let the ball that started to roll keep rolling downhill and see how big it can get. Knowing that the hill only goes for so long. Like I think that I know my limitations as far as like I don't think touring outside of Western Quebec, Eastern Ontario is going to be that much of an option just with how busy my family life is. But I just want to see how big I can get that ball to roll on that you know finite hill, but just keep working.
You know what? It is time. Like time is it's limited. You know what I mean? We're going to have
Hmm.
so much. So with young children, just even with our age or whatever comes up in our lives, right? You got to take
Hmm.
advantage of that time right
Yeah,
now
yeah.
and put everything in because anything can change. But um, it's been awesome interviewing you, Matt. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for asking me to come on and do this. It's an honor because, like I said earlier, you do so much for the local music community. I'm happy to consider us close enough that you'd ask me that we're friends. And I wish the best for you with Vacated Shapes. I love your sound. I look forward to playing with you again. We've got a show in August at Stray Dog in Orleans.
That's right.
Don't forget.
I will not
You're looking
forget.
at me. Do
No, I don't remember the exact date, but it's in my calendar.
I think it's the seventh. I'd have to
Okay.
check too.
And
But
hey, you've got your album release at Redbird. What's the date on that? Is it the 13th, I want to say? Or
no, that's June 11th.
June 11th.
So
Ah, I was gonna say 11.
yeah, June 11th, and that's my third album in 3 years. So well,
Nice. I
there's
will
going to
see
be
you
a
there.
that would be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for letting me do this, and it's been great getting a little more in depth with how you do things.
Well, thank you for doing this. It was awesome.
Awesome.
Well, there you have it. That was James Leclaire interviewing me. So, thanks for listening, and don't forget, June 20th at Art House Cafe is my album release party. Hoping to see everybody there. See you next time.